So today we're going to learn from the Buddha's wife. I know all the masters beautifully explained all the chapters. So I'm going to continue with the recap. So today's agenda is going to be like 25th, 26th, 27th chapter. And let's take you to the recap now. Okay, so we have seen Yashodhara, Buddha's wife, or Siddhartha's wife. She had gone through a lot of suffering after Buddha left her and Rahula when he was a baby or a couple of days old, right? So she was in this denial stage and frustration, depression, all those things happened. And, then Prajapati, Yashodhara's mother-in-law, came into picture and she helped her come out of her suffering, the pain. And she created a compassion circle by gathering all the people in the palace and in the nearby town people. She called in and created this compassion circle, right? And she gradually came out of her suffering or pain. And then we have seen Deepa ma'am has explained in her last class that Buddha had visited the palace for the first time after he enlightened. And and you see here everybody gathered, and Suddhodana, Buddha's father and mother, Prajapati, they all were surprised to see enlightened master Lord Buddha. And Yashodhara introduced, Yashodhara introduced Rahula to his father and she requested him to ask his inheritance from Buddha. And he gave him his begging bowl, right? So you remember from last class. And then she discussed her shade path, how she was able to come out of her suffering, okay, how Prajapati came into her life and how she helped her with the help of all other women in the Sangha, in the palace. And she explained to Buddha her shade path. And then Buddha was very happy by listening to Yashodhara's progression. And then he offered his teachings, right? So the three jewels of Buddhas, the Buddha and Sangha and Dharma. And he told her that, yeah, you all are capable of doing anything. You women are very strong leader and committed. So there are many doorways to the enlightenment, and one of the doorway that you are entering is through Sangha, right? Sangha is with the people, being with the women or people in the village. So that's what he gave her some his teachings, and then he left without saying goodbye. So that was covered in the last class by Deepa ma'am beautifully. And today we'll continue, masters. So what happens after Buddha left the palace? So after Buddha left, they came to know that Siddhartha, they are all moving towards Himalayas for teaching. You know, they go from place to place to spread his teachings. The same way how Patriji had done, right? He goes from person to person, place to place, and teach meditation to every single house. So that's what exactly Buddha had done. And then they were all talking after Buddha left. People were talking how Buddha had transformed himself. They all surprised to see him, but also felt very sad that he had to leave everything behind and living a simple ascetic life. And then Yashodhara discussed her talking with Buddha, and she was explaining. The way she was explaining, everybody could notice that the leadership, her strong and kind leader nature in her talkings. So you can see how she progressed from withdrawal to a great leader, right? So, and her vital energies or energized everyone in the palace or whoever she talks. And then Rahula was very excited because she could meet his father, and she was able to talk to him, and he gave his Buddha's bowl to Rahula, right? So he was very excited to take his teachings. And then soon after that, they heard there is a violence in the town, nearby town, and all the men and the younger boys were gone to support the war, and in the village only women and small kids were left alone, and they were like suffering with the food. There's no food in the village because they were all gone, and no money. So they came to this palace for help. And thereby seeing this incident, Prajapati and Yashodhara, they moved by that incident, the violence in the town, and they wanted to do something to help out those people, right? And so they obviously they go to king and asked if he could do anything to handle that pain or that fighting or violence in the town. So, and he said that he agreed to provide some medication, and that is not enough. It's a big war going on, and all the women in the village, they are all no food, no medicines, and they were all little ones are getting sick. So they need more support than just the medication. So they both decided to have a brave moment to go to the village and help out to those villagers. And they took a brave step to request king that they wanted to go to the village and help out to those women and kids who are left in the village, right? So when they went to that village, then yeah, the king was had a very good respect on their decision, and he agreed, and he wished them to go ahead and do whatever they wanted to pursue. And then they were very happy, and they went to the village, and when they went to village, they saw the situation was more worse than they expected. So the way women were fighting, and all the kids were just on the road, nothing to eat, and they were all getting sick and all those things because there's no food. So they would all fight. Oh, this is mine, or there's so much of hoarding, or there's so much of stealing. Everything is going on, right? So that instead moved to these Yashodhara and Prajapati. And then they decided to create a listening circle, because they know that, right, how to handle these kind of situations. They have gone through, Yashodhara had gone through her pain and her suffering by creating some circle, calling other people, and listening to each other's pain, and how they were able to come out of their situation, right? So they wanted to create the same thing, the peace circle or listening circle, so where they can help out each other and they can control the situation. So this is similar to the Sajjana Sangatya, what we do, right? The circle is like a Sajjana Sangati, it's a Sangha. So where we sit, and if we have any pain, or we share our experiences, and if somebody else also gone through the similar situation, we all share how we could able to handle and how we came out of that, right? So this it's a similar to the Sajjana Sangatya, or the group meditation we do here. And then the peace circle, some of the qualities, if you are wondering how it is, it's exactly like how we do meditation, like in our daily meditations or in a wisdom sharing sessions. So each person can be seen by all others on the same level, on the same ground. There is no hierarchy, and there's no one above or below, or there is no inside or outside. So everybody are at the same level. So everyone treat each other with the kindness and respect, right? So that's what we do here, in even in our groups, in the meditation groups. We somebody's talking, we just keep quietly listen, and then if we have to share something, we'll share, and listen with attention and speak with intention. So and it becomes a container and confidential. Container means, like, we take everything, all the knowledge and the wisdom shared by other masters, and that becomes a container. We become a container, we keep it within us, and it helps us to resolve any problem, or we can take this knowledge to help outside in our group or somewhere, if we hear some people are suffering, right? And we keep it as confidential. We just don't talk, hey, she has gone through that, or he has gone through this, and those painful situations, we don't talk, or we don't name anybody's. We just only use the knowledge and the wisdom, just to for a positive purpose. And circle transformed into a sacred space, right? Sacred space means, where you show your oneness, and you give respect to everyone, and listen very deeply. So all those where we show all those qualities, that space becomes a sacred space. So each member is equally important, right? The circle grounds and settles the members. So why we have to only come to the circle or sangha and share all these things? Because that's where we all listen to everybody's pain, and everybody, how everybody are going through, and how they were able to come out of it. So then only we understand. Otherwise, if we are at our own place and if we are suffering, nobody could understand us, and nobody could help us to come out of it, and we will be in our own mind, and and we will be going circle and circle, and it's hard. It becomes more painful, and we may get into attract to the more elements, or we get into like some diseases. So that's why it is very necessary to be in a sangha or circle. And speaking and listening become spiritual practices that need cultivation, awareness, and care. So, so they every day they follow these peace and healing circles. So morning and evening, it become a ritual, like how we do, like we have a daily spiritual tablet sessions, right? Every day, like how we are doing today. And now, so when they initially started, wanted to have this peace circle, these villagers, these women, they were ignorant. They don't know anything, right, about all these things. So they were like a little bit reluctant. They hesitated to join these sanghas or circle, but they wanted to explore and experiment, because the king, queen, and Prince Yashodhara and Prajapati came out, and they are here to help them out. So obviously they would come out and um, give a try, right? So that's what they did it. And when they had a vision, right? When you want to do some want to pursue some goal, or some want to resolve some anger or some negativity, you have to have a goal or a vision, that I wanted to come out of that problem. So they had a vision with a full faith, right? When you have a vision, you should have a faith. Faith means it's everything is going to go happen right. And they had, with that faith and the vision, they started their sharing, experience sharing, and giving the information, whatever Yashodhara and Prajapati had learned, because Prajapati also had gone through the similar situation, because when her sister Maya, the Gautama Buddha's biological mother, died, and Prajapati had to raise Buddha. So then they started with the small circles. Wherever they see in a hut or in a village, in a house, wherever they see people, they would go and talk and make a small circle, and they would give them all the, hey, this is what, they, whatever their learnings, they give them, offer them, and meditate, and then uh, they make that environment a little bit, highly vibrational, and so that they can understand and they can calm themselves and understand the situation better. And these small circles eventually rippled out and became a one big circle, right? So anything for us to change, masters, we just one person is enough. That's what always Patricia sir says. In a family, if one person is a meditator, everything will become a meditator, or everything will settle down, right? So I basically experience in the house, earlier everywhere, like in shouting, argument was there. So I came into meditation. So now I am quiet. So I'm not, at least not creating anything, not hesitation, nothing, and calm. So everybody has calmness, obviously, right? So, and slowly they will learn the benefit of this meditation, and they may want to, when time comes, they may want to pursue the same thing. So so small groups rippled into a larger groups, and their vision came true. The women began a kind again and started to work together, and right relation and right moment started to shine on the shared path. So they started with the small group, and it enlarged into a larger group, and they all started to understand each other, and they're all kind enough, because that is the power of meditation and a group meditation and Sajjana Sangatya, masters. So, and then after they all villagers came together, and they want to give a helping hand. When we are together, we can do a lot, right? A single person, we cannot do really not big things. So that's how the spiritual tablet started. That's how our PMC Patriji had started. So everywhere first to started with the one person, and then the movement has enlarged, and we after that we have so many groups, and then we can assign some tasks, right? Hey, these people would spread the meditation, these people would do the rallies, vegetarian rallies, and these people would do the counseling, and then we have a teaching staff, some people would take the classes and sessions. So like that, we can, when we have everything in a group, then we started slowly assigning the different tasks. The same thing we are doing in a spiritual tablet. So that's what they did in that town, Prajapati and Yashodhara. They allocated some counselors, and and the resources were allocated to do different things like medication, or like getting the food for villagers. And it's a village, it's in the town, so the activities could be a little bit different than us, but is the understanding, the idea is the same. And the men's were still gone, and this was strangely a blessing for the women's, right? They got an opportunity, they were able to explore and give it a try, and they were able to come out of their pain, and they learned so much of knowledge and the wisdom, and they are now acting as a single family. So sometimes this could be an example of a COVID masters. Like when we have a COVID, this COVID is a blessing for so many of us, right? So similar situation happened for them as well. You have seen this cycle, grief cycle. We have seen, all the masters have shown is the same thing. So same phases these villages also gone through. So just depicted there. Okay, so and then Yashodhara and Prajapati, they noticed that enlarging their circles in a different groups also, they also helping them to understand better or grow their knowledge and wisdom as well. So their wisdom levels and everything is growing. So that's why when we teach someone and when we share our experience, friends, like, we also grow. When we share, we understand ourselves better. So it's always sharing is important. So now they see their own sangha begin, right? So they all created their sangha, means it's basically a circle. So they all have their own group now. And Yashodhara is thinking that after a great conflict in the community, there can be a great release, liberation from suffering. This is not the same liberation the Buddha teaches us? So, they started their circle with the big suffering, right? It's a conflict in the community. And then after they had so much of liberation, and so they so much of satisfaction, and they were all able to live happily. So she's like going through, this is what the liberation that Buddha is talking about. And then you have like this Buddha had taught like Buddha and Sangha and Dharma, right? So she's just contemplating all the teachings that Buddha taught her. And expanding the circle this way was the doorway to Dharma and truth and the great peace, right? So he had given us the dharma, eightfold dharma, eightfold path, right here. So these all, they're using the right intention, right view, right speech, right action. So when with using these things, it's in the sangha also, all these things are coming out of from their circle. So it is also leading to the dharma. So she's just talking to herself and just trying to understand, this is what the Buddha taught us. Then she said, she's continuing, the moment of truth are not already there in you or me, but are arising in the moment of our connecting and in our being with. Because when you are alone, the truth or liberation doesn't make sense, right? So when you come out of yourself and come to the sangha, when you share, when you bring everyone together, then you feel like you are like full-fledged master, and you understand what the truth is, right? Truth is like you understanding who you are. But when you are sitting by yourself, you don't really understand. You have to go out and you experience everything. Then when you experience it, then you understand the real everything, the reality, and then you were able to experience those experiences out there, and then you understand the what true life is, right? So that's what she's um, talking about, and that is called path of awakening. So that's what Patrizi sir had did. He got the truth, but he didn't sit there, right? He just went to place and village to village, and he enlightened everyone, and he made every one of us as a masters. And she's continuing to see extraordinary truth the Buddha saw so clearly. We must learn to see with Sangha eyes, listen with Sangha ears, and breathe and weep with Sangha lungs, and love with Sangha heart. That means we all have to be in a Sangha so we can see the full picture of truth that Buddha had invented. Now we must continue to cultivate the practices and walk the path of awareness. So she's telling, yeah, now we just like, she just understood how to come out of these sufferings and these conflicts. But there's so much, right? When you go and meet different people, then, you come out of, you come across more scenarios and more struggles out there. Like, whatever Buddha had taught, that's why he went to in search of all truth, right? So they wanted to experiment that as well. It's just this is not enough, so we need to continue with the more awareness. So relation and sangha first, all else follows, like cart follows the horse. So when we are in relation and we are in the sangha, then everything happens. So that's what it is, masters. So and then let's go to the next chapter. It's King's proclamation about the Buddha. So after so many months later, they heard that Buddha is passing by this palace again. And then by listening this, King Suddhodana announced in the king's palace that in front of everyone, all the people in the palace and he and everyone in the nearby towns could hear. So he proclaimed as this one, I'm proclaiming my son to be Buddha. I will give him my majestic forest of teak for his Sangha. He can stay here forever if he wants. I myself will attend Dharma talks and encourage all men to join him. I have decided to become a follower. In my judgment, my son is an enlightened spiritual teacher, the best that anyone has ever seen. I will receive his teachings, but I will not give up my throne. My goal is not only to become enlightened, but to bring this enlightenment to my kingdom. So this proclamation he made in front of everyone, right? So because he just saw Buddha and he's seeing, he's listening all these things, people are coming and talking, all his teachings and all. So he's really happy with his teachings and he wanted to take Buddha's teachings. But he said that I will not give up my throne, right? So because he just want to continue as a king, because you don't need to give throne or you don't need to go as Buddha did, because Buddha did, because that is the only option he had, right? So because at that time there's no teachings, there's nobody knows what the truth is, so much of suffering, and those days, like male dominated generation that time, and so much of poverty and so much of pain, and in the family also, everybody has to listen to the male. So those were the days. So it was like really moved, and he went in search of truth and to see what to get the solution. So once we got the teachings, we everybody doesn't need to follow Buddha. We can sit where we are and we can do our sadhana. So as Patrice always mentioned, right? So samsaramlo nirvanam. That's what he says. So Yashodhara thought it's a strange path, because she's still going into her path, right? She's not full-fledgedly, she hasn't enlightened yet. She's just slowly making her progress. And she thought, she caught that, I will not give up my throne. And she heard that and she thought it's a strange path. Let go of attachment is necessary on the path of awakening as per Buddha's teachings. So Buddha said attachment is the root cause of the suffering. So she's thinking, okay, he's attached to the kingdom. That's what she's thinking from his proclamation. But at least there's no more conflict in the palace about Siddhartha being dead to the king, right? So she because he always used to say like, my son is dead, my son is, every conversation he used to bring that he doesn't have a king, his son, and his son is dead. So that was, for Yashodhara, you can imagine how she would feel, right? Because he's alive and he's her husband, and she still has some attachment, she still loves him, all those things. So she's thinking at least there's no more these conflicts with these talkings, right? So she's happy, but she is still mix of this Buddha's teachings, and she's still in confusion. That's why she's thinking it's a strange path whatever king is taking. But in realistic, friends, that is the path that we all have to go through. And Prajapati said, there is much suffering as a king, made by king and okay, and made by king, and there's a much suffering handled by king. That's what Prajapati said. So this proclamation doesn't hurt, but it helps, because everyone could hear about the Buddhas and Buddha's teachings. So now his teachings are more spread by king. So when these teachings are there everywhere, then everybody gets understanding and takes those teachings, and they can they can take those teachings and applying into their life, and they can live happy life, right? So that's what Prajapati is telling. Okay. So, and then after that, immediately, then Yashodhara heard a fearful statement from Rahula, that Rahula said, "Mother, I have decided to become a monk, joining my father's Sangha," right? So she's just trying to come out of her suffering, her pain, and she created their own Sangha, and she's just wanted to grow more and help more people and learn more from everyone. But meanwhile, soon after that, she heard this statement from Rahula. Then Yashodhara was shocked and said, "You are so young, there are no boys." Then Rahula said, "I shall be the first boy." Imitating with the Buddha stone, he said, "It's my path too. And I even have my special bowl, his bowl." So he showed his special Buddha's special bowl to Yashodhara and said, "I have bowl and I'm ready to go to Buddha Sangha and join his Sangha and take his teachings." And Yashodhara said, "I'm your mother." And I say, "No, not yet, not now. 7 is too young." He's a 7 years old. So, which mother would accept this one, right? But her situation has occurred and she had to go through those experiences. And Rahula was very stubborn and he said, "It must be right now. I want to walk with him and learn everything from him." And Yashodhara was like, she was like this conversation between Yashodhara and Rahula friends. So I just wanted to read as it is. "I will not allow it, and I doubt the Siddhartha will allow it." Then Rahula said, "I already asked the Buddha with my bowl in my hand. He said yes." Then Yashodhara said, "Are you lying? You need to stay until your age of that certain age. She has some certain age, a little bit older age. And then when he comes back again, if you still want to, you can join him." The boy turned and walked away, and he did not give up, right? So he was very strong on his own decision, even though he's a little one. And both Suddhodana and Prajapati spoke softly to Yashodhara, and they both said, "Let him go." And the king said, "You don't want him to become a warrior," the king said. And I agreed. "The path of the spirit is what you wanted for him, did you not?" So at that time, you remember in the previous sessions, King Shuddhodana wanted Rahula to take, training to become a warrior. Then Yashodhara, she did not accept it because she still had that expectation that Buddha would come and he would talk to Buddha and Buddha would take him to tell him the right decision for him. So that's what Yashodhara did. And now the king is reminding Yashodhara. Yeah, and then Prana and Yashodhara both tried to convince Rahula, but the boy was denied, and he was very strong on his decision. Then Yashodhara had no option saying yes, but he sent Chena to forest to Buddha Sangha and to ask Buddha's permission what he want Rahula to do. So Channa went and he came with a response saying there is no age restrictions to become a aspirant monk. So there is no age restriction. So Ananda had reassured that. So whatever they wanted to talk, they go and talk to Ananda, and Ananda talks to Buddha. And then, that's how, because it's very hard to get direct Buddha's contact or having conversation with Buddha. So Ananda reassured that if the youngest monk joined, he would be carefully attended, but there will not be any special treatment. So he will be watched out like, where is he and did he eat or something like that. But there won't be any special treatment. He has to perform all the activities like meditation and listening these wisdom talks and the begging and all those things he has to do normally along with all the monks. That's what he assured. And then one day came, and on the day of Rahula's departure, two monks arrived to take him, and they gave him a simple robe, right? And he slipped it over his head. And Yashodhara wanted to go and give him a kiss, but give him a kiss and say goodbye, right? Like mother thought, okay, he wore his robe and now he's gonna leave, so let me go and give a hug, final hug. But Rahula moved towards her, and the monk protested the touch because when they have a robe on them, they are not supposed to touch a woman. So those were the principles and guidelines they had those days. I'm not sure, probably they still have now. So he's on robe, and she's not, even though she's a mother, she's not supposed to touch because he became a monk as soon as he wears a robe. Then Rahula removed his robe and he came close to mother and hugged her, and feeling he's like, in mother's stomach. That means he's like really felt the hug and the touch of mother. And then they both cried aloud, and they both are shaken also, right? And they both let go and said goodbye to each other. And he yeah, you can see in the picture he's wearing a robe and with his baking bowl. He walked with the two monks. And then Yashodhara is going through her emotions. She's saying like, he's gone off with his father even after such a close contact with me for so many years. I must do everything to stay close to him, follow him as as a sangha travels. And why not? There is nothing left now here. So, she was the only reason for her to live is Rahula, right? Because that's what Prajapati taught her. Like, yeah, don't be sad, don't be, panic, and don't be in this suffering because you have a little one, you have to take care of him, and, all those things. So she trained very well, and she kind of adjusted, and she understood her teachings. And then now she had so much of attachment on him, and because she wanted to forget Buddha, and so she put all her energy towards Rahula. And now Rahula is gone, so now she's like devastated, and she doesn't know now what to do now. And she wanted to follow him wherever he goes, wherever Sangha goes. So, and then Yashodhara is extremely missing Rahula, and again her anger arose on Buddha, right? Because of all Buddha, this is all happening. So again, her anger and her frustration came into picture, came into life now. And despite all their past, wall began to build between them because they had so much love and affection. They shared so many things, but now they have to live apart, and their distance has grown, and wall began to grow. And because she wanted to follow wherever Rahula goes, right? So she started to go and follow him, and she would, initially she would go see him from a distance because she's not, women are not allowed in the Sangha those days. So she has to just wait outside and wait until he finishes his wisdom talk or by Buddha. And then when he comes out of that Sangha, then she would watch him, and sometimes she wait there and give him some food. And slowly uh, so she wanted to visit him continuously, but it's the distance is slowly grown. And one day, when she was waiting for Buddha, waiting for the Rahula, she noticed the Buddha sitting on a raised bed or raised platform and giving his teachings to everyone. And that caught her eyes, right? And she couldn't digest that one because he's sitting on a raised platform and everybody are sitting down, and she really did not like that. And she continues to go to that wherever Sangha moves or in that forest, and slowly he Rahula. So initially when she saw, he used to laugh by seeing her, Shodhara, and then he used to bow her and she would bow him. Then the next time, he surprisingly, he won't laugh, but he would just giggle and smile. And then slowly from a distance, he would just look at her, but he will be in his Sangha. So like that, friends. So slowly, he separated from her. He reduced to come close to her, and Yashodhara also reduced go and see Rahula in the Sangha or wherever she couldn't follow him anymore because he's in the Sangha and he's involved with the teachings and taking wisdoms and with his other monks. And then but Prajapati is embracing Buddha's teaching wholeheartedly, and Yashodhara could not accept fully the Buddha's teachings, right? Because Yashodhara is liking all Buddha's teachings, whereas Prajapati is liking and following Buddha's teachings, but Yashodhara, she could not follow Buddha's teachings and she showing reluctance following those path. And then this was past a couple of days, and then next year, I mean, so after Rahula left the next year, Prajapati wanted to join this Buddha Sangha, and she sent a message twice to Buddha through Ananda, requesting that they wanted to join in Buddha Sangha, and they wanted a permission to allow them, all the women Sangha. But twice Buddha refused, saying, "This is not the place for women," right? Because there were no women in his Sangha so far till now. And obviously, he wouldn't accept Prajapati and Yashodhara and all other women. But Prajapati understood his reluctance, and she understood that the teachings badly wanted to reach all his teachings to everyone, right? Even the women on every corner of the world. So Prajapati could sense him why he is not allowing them to join in his Sangha. But Buddha already declared that women are capable of full awakening. So doesn't need to join his sangha, but wherever they are, whatever they are doing, they are still fully capable of doing whatever they wanted to gain the knowledge or get the enlightenment. But Prajapati then decided to go forth without permission, right? Because she badly wanted to join Buddha's Sangha and she wanted to closely follow him and take all the teachings of him, right? How we do in a Sangha, right? Once you learn the meditation, you don't want to be alone and just go through just whatever teachings you learned. You still want to be in the Sangha and you still want to expand the Sangha and create more new Sangha, and so you don't want to detach from your Sangha where you can share and you can learn. So Prajapati decided to move forward. So she gathered all the women and she discussed with them the plan, what they're going to do. And And in a ritual ceremony they had, and they all shaved their head. One, they shaved each other's head, and they left home with none of their possessions. Right? They walked together and with their begging bowl to the Buddha's Sangha. And Yashodhara had hesitated and doesn't want to commit fully to the Buddha's teachings. But she has no option, right? So because Prajapati is moving forward with the other women going to the Buddha Sangha, and Rahula is gone, and she has no one in the palace. So she had no other option than following Prajapati. And she also thought that maybe, if she can stay in Buddha Sangha, probably she can still see her son, because she still has some attachment. And then when they were walking, they felt so great joy, and they felt like adventurous and with their decision, even though they are walking in unknown path of unknown. Right? So when we have a path of unknown, friends, you don't know, you take a, when you have a new goal you wanted to pursue, right? So you don't know, but your inner self says that, yeah, that is the right path, but you really clearly don't see that path yet. So you are entering into the unknown. So then you follow these things, believe in yourself, plan your route, stay connected with the vision. So, and enjoy the journey, consider the risk, leave room for detours, ask for assistance. Right? So these are the things we need to follow when we are entering into the unknown unknown zone. So always have a plan A doesn't work, you have to come back and do plan B. That's why we have to have a goal. Some one goal doesn't work, that's okay, you can move on with the other goal. So sometimes we are not clear with the goal, but if you reach out for a help, and if you plan and you always keep your vision in your mind, then more chances are you're going to resolve, you can going to reach your goal. So then Chana followed this group to give a company along the path until they reached Buddha Sangha. And a crowd started to form to watch them pass by, right? So as they're walking on the road, they have to walk so many miles before they reach Buddha Sangha. And they were so exhausted, and this so much walk, and this not much food probably. And when they finally arrived the Buddha Sangha, Prajapati asked the permission to meet Buddha, right? So, but they have to go through the Ananda. So Ananda saw them, and he understood their journey, and he spoke to the Buddha on behalf of these moments. But still Buddha refused them, even though they walked so long and they reached close to the Buddha Sangha. He still refused them to join in his group. He doesn't want them to join his group. And then Ananda said, they have shaved their head, put on their robes, carried their begging bowls, and they have walked together many miles to get here. They are at the door. So he again reiterated this thing to Buddha, right? So that he can understand the situation. Then finally, Buddha heart opened and gave the permission to join the women with some special rules to be followed to protect them. Because those days, like, just only monks were there. And if they joined, then, definitely some disturbances, the male and female attraction would have. And, so he just provided some extra guidelines to follow for them. And they finally agreed to join in his group. Then they formed a new women monastic beside the men's monastic sangha. And all other people would join in their group as by listening to these, their joining the Buddha Sangha. Everybody would heard in the close by or nearby towns, and they all, queen and some servants, all other women were willing to join their Sangha. And they created a refugee for all women. Okay, so where they can stay and do their own practices. And in a circle, they would share, all the different women would come and join, who were abandoned or who were lost their child, or there's so many reasons. They all would come and join this group, and they would share their stories. And they all had a kind of acceptance and actions to help each other, because similarly, everybody have their similar stories. So different stories, but all, everybody has a painful stories, so they all would accept kindly and show compassionate to each other. Yeah, friends, so this is a summary. Today's summary is like, we have seen Yashodhara had become a strong leader and created a peace circle to bring liberation into community. And she had created a path of right relation, right? So creating a relationship with everyone, bring everyone together, and bring to the single understanding. And then we have seen King's proclamation and his transformation after Buddha's visit. And then he was ordained as a youngest monk, and Yashodhara's emotions. And then lastly, we have seen Prajapati and her women Sangha join the Buddha Sangha and created a separate Sangha, separate monastery, women monastery beside the men's Sangha, right? So yes, friends, this is main highlights. So yeah, if you have any questions, or if you want to share any experiences, similar experiences, or have you learned so far from your meditation experiences, or since you joined the meditation, have you?
Swarna ma'am, can you stop sharing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, masters, if anybody wants to clarify your question, or you wanted to share your experience or something, then please raise your hand and we can go through.
Yeah, friends, so here the main things, like she had created, she was with the so much of suffering initially, and she was come out of her palace, and she created a circle, right? So probably some of you or most of you had similar situation, some painful situation. It could be relationship, or it could be you might have lost ones, your relatives or friends, and how you are able to help them. And was, or if anybody helped you, if others were in your story, and they were able to bring you out of your pain. So things like that. So you can imagine, right, these situations, like see, Rahula left Yashodhara at the age of 7. Now our kids go to the college, and we are not able to accept that, and sometimes we panic, and we call them, hey, no calls coming, no. So even I have a teenager, even I do sometimes. But you can imagine her situation, right? He's so little, how much emotion she has to go through. I know it's attachment, but those days the situations were different, friends. and not so much supporting, because she was the first lady that she has to suffer face. Even though there were little, the other friends group were there, but the as far as her princess concerned, she has never heard other stories. So her emotion, her learning, everything started from her, right? So if you have similar situations, or how were you able to handle, or are you able to let go those kind of scenarios? So yeah, friends, yeah, please come forward and share your experience so we can learn. Yes, sir. Ashok, sir, if you. Oh, okay. Lakshmi, ma'am.
Yes, I unmuted, ma'am. Already.
Thank you. Thank you, Swarna ma'am. Thank you, Swarna ma'am. Rather than that sharing of the question what you've asked, I really had few things to, as a group to discuss. If why Yashodhara has the hesitation of accepting Buddha's teaching completely, why she felt that hesitation to see Buddha as a raised platform compared to the other people, he was delivering the teaching, and rest all disciples are just a step below. But that raised platform did, intrigue her mind that why is he like that? Why is that difference? Because that's one thing which is the, thing what I felt why she's not accepting him completely in few points, wherein that's one thing which uh, is my own. Yeah. The second thing, what I felt with the entire thing, though Buddha left the family and went and had that, understanding of the truth, but he still didn't be with himself. He had to come back to Sangha or the disciples. So one, even a, like even if he's awakened, where is his existence is still in Sangha. So he had to come back, and in a form he somehow even managed the care of the child in a definitely different path. But uh, he took that responsibility of knowingly or unknowingly to gel with his child. It is not that he'll give a special attention to his child, but then he showed the true path to his child much earlier than himself. He didn't allow that suffering to reach there. So I felt the father took the responsibility. May not be a really the intent of as a father and a son relation, but then that's what I felt. Yashodhara probably must have taken that pain for that 7 years to raise the child, but then she let him to set his free goal. Though the resistance was there, she still accepted it. So for her, the pattern repeated, isn't it? The pattern of letting go his her own dear repeated to her. So I just want if anyone can put this across why Yashodhara is not completely accepting Buddha's teaching. Yeah, thank you, Swarna. Beautifully. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Lakshmi, ma'am. So are you asking question, ma'am, or it's just
Yeah, I
okay,
want if
asking question.
anyone can,
Sorry. So
if you can put
yeah,
inputs to
sure.
these.
So yeah, means he was the first teacher, right? Those days there was no knowledge, not much teachings. They don't know how to handle these painful things and these relationship issues. There's so much of fighting, all those things nobody knows, right? So he moved by all those situations, and he came out to find out the truth, and he found out, and he wanted to spread to everyone. So he was a teacher, he respected those teachings, and so it's like a teacher and disciple relationship that was there. It's not that he was a great or anything, but when you are in a classroom, you go, it's a teacher and a student relationship, right? So you cannot sit in the group. That is a sajjana sangata, that we all got now teachings, right? We are not a teacher. We got, already teacher was there, we all got those teachings, and now we are enjoying those teachings. So now we are all in the same boat, the same level, so we can do. But he thought, okay, so he has to put a rules, like give those teachings in a in a rigid way, so that everyone can take those. And those times, everybody are ignorant. If you sit in the middle, I don't think that would have gave a big impact on whatever teachings that he would deliver, right? So now the situation is much better. Everyone will understand. Say a week, 1 week, they join a meditation, they understand everything, right? But in Buddha's case, the situation was different. So he was like a teacher. He was like a master to everyone. Not that he's a proud, or he's not that the social status or anything, but that was the culture, the teacher and disciple culture that he followed, so that everyone can follow his teachings, because there were no teachings at that time, as far as they know. Is that gives satisfy your question, ma'am?
Yes, no, ma'am, this is Vinde.
And maybe, yeah.
You beautifully explained. So thank you. And I just wanted to say, Lakshmi ma'am, good question too. First of all, Swarna ma'am, it was, such a beautiful journey with Yashodhara. We all are making, how she went through and how she came out. She's been inspiring. I think every day, whatever I'm going through, I can relate how she came out, and that gives me strength. I'm not going through major things, but even whatever we go through, we draw strength.
Vinyaman, you need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Was I audible before, or just?
No, not before, just now.
Just now, ma'am.
So I was talking all this.
No, just now. No,
Okay.
just now.
Just now. Okay. So I was saying how beautifully she came out of her grief, and not only came out, she helped all the ladies, and then Guy showed a good right path for her son, and allowed him to join Buddha, right? But even then, when he wanted to leave immediately, it hurt her again. So she was not able to let go. And I felt we all relate to that, right? Even though we are in the spiritual path, we feel like we are learning and we are going through this. When it comes to someone close, like family members, children, we again have those emotions, but we are more aware now. And same thing with her, I think, because she went through that, she was able to let go much quicker. She didn't have to go through that deep pain and sorrow. So I thought that was again beautiful. So we are all presented situations again and again. It's not like we're done, but every time we have more wisdom and more awareness to come out of it. And Lakshmi ma'am's question, yeah, I was thinking of talking about that. Yeah, beautiful how she realized and or observed that Buddha was sitting on the platform and teaching, and how she couldn't accept that. And Swarna ma'am, you answered beautifully that he's the teacher and he is teaching, and there is a discipline to that and how he wants to do. So both have different ways. That's what, and both methods are different, I feel, because yes, this was the first time and it's big mass of people, and he's giving out the teaching. Whereas her purpose was different. Her purpose was to stay back with them and be with them, be one with them. So that is what that circle did, and they all wanted to show that oneness, and they belong. When you sit in the circle together, we are. And even in teaching, I've been a teacher, so we noticed there is change in how teaching has progressed since when I and we went to school. And now, before we used to have all this, like how Buddha is teaching, teacher up there and students down here just give notes and they take. But it has changed. We are also taught there is something called, round table or circle, where the teacher also becomes part of the discussion. And they also realize that there are times when you need to do that. There are times when you need to do the other way. But, the first time you're introducing something, you're right. You have to be like there on the platform and teach. But later on, when you want the interaction and you want them to, the participation to be there and everything, you have to be one with them. And I don't want to go more deep, but that is my few thoughts. Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you, Swarna ma'am. Thank you.
Lakshmi ma'am, can I say a few things?
Yeah, around.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me? I think this beautiful is this book is well described by so many ma'ams. It's so I would say that it is an emotional journey listening to every class. See, this book is about two concepts: the attachment and letting go. We all know that attachment is a very dear to all of us, like as either as a father or as a mother or as a wife. You basically own it, and you own the relationship, and you never think that it is going to go away one day. Okay, though everybody knows that the jatasya maranam dhruvam, but you never think that that relationship is going to end one way. And typically the relationship ends only with a death and not with someone going away, walking away from the house. This is very rare. And that is what happened in Yashodhara's case. Siddhartha walked away from her life for probably for an year. Yashodhara did not even know if she was alive until Shane came back and gave her the news that, okay, he was there, he was alive, and then he has formed a sangha and all that. So she has gone through a lot of grief and then took the responsibility of bringing up Rahula. Now the focus has shifted from letting go one attachment to nourishing another attachment. Now this attachment went on, and while it is going on, she has developed her own sangha with the help of Prajapati, and another set of attachments again formed. Now, after 7 years, now Rahula comes and says that, okay, now I'm leaving now. I'm leaving you now. See this, and for a mother, and probably this is, I'm sorry, I'm not finding the right word. Probably this is the highest blow, she can feel. And unfortunately, this has come from Siddhartha, who supported her, who supported the decision. He said, he can come. See, I am sure this is the worst moment for her. Okay, now she has gone through these kinds of situations twice. So obviously she will develop some kind of a, I don't want to use the word hatred, but I know I don't have any other word to say, a partial hatred towards Siddhartha. Because at one end, he left, and at another time, after 7 years, he took Rahula away. Okay, and so that is why she was against her for some time. And probably after a couple of months, whatever time left, she took the support from Prajapati and then joined the Sangha. I think this is my understanding. See, like if you see the circle of what is it called? Where you are going through the denial and agony, whatever it is called, right? She has gone through that path, and finally, she has come to an acceptance and joined the Sangha. I think this is my observation from the story. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
In fact, sorry, here Lakshmi Lakade's question is well answered by Ramakrishna ji, actually. So I will put it in one sentence. What Buddha's teaching said, that itself is the answer for the question. Why Yashodhara could not accept fully Buddha? Here, as Ramakrishna said, attachment brings miseries or suffering. That's all. So one after another attachment, that's it. Because of her attachment to the son, when he decided to become a monk, yes, that motherliness came, attachment of as a mother, I am mother, you are. That was still there. Whereas Buddha is already enlightened. He has gone beyond that. Whereas here she is still in the pot. She is in a different sphere, I can say. That's it. I think you put it beautifully. It's my understanding.
Yeah, thank you, Parmeshwaran sir. But we have to imagine if it happened in our life, what is our solution? Just imagine, right? We don't want to suffer. If suffering gives the diseases, we have to move on, right? We want to move on. How do you move on? With the sad? You cannot move on, because with the sad, you have all those karmas. When you are in the sad mode, you all have karmas, right? So no, I'm not talking about in her point of view, but in realistic now, if this happens, right? Husband dies in an early age, child dies in another age. We have seen there are people, how she has to go, or maybe leaves. Let's say if husband leaves and then child also follows father and he leaves. Then what is her life now, right? So think in that way. So she has to just only she develop in her sangha, be in sangha, learn her teachings, and when you have knowledge, sir, these things, when you understand, everybody has their own journey. Everybody has to go through their own experiences. Then you understand better, and you slowly, I know it will be painful. I'm not saying no, but slowly, with the help of them, and if you shift your attention, shift your energy to the right direction, then probably we will have a better life. And we wanted to serve, right? Again, bring the service. But yeah, those days, she had only that option, because there's not much awareness. Only she, one step at a time she has to go. So, but she really did a great job those days. So that's really kudos to her, and because of her only we are all enjoying her cruise. And now we are able to talk. A little bit brave, even with these scenarios.
Thank you, Swarna. Thank you, Ramakrishna sir and Parmeshwaran sir. Yeah, this very part of us is attachment and detachment. And what I felt when Buddha is in a raised platform, and very well explained by Swarna ma'am and Vindhya ma'am too, sometimes it is that we are the light for some. And sometimes we have to seek light from someone. We have to switch from master to student and student to master, because no one is perfect. Even this switch is because of our own ignorance. So Buddha, when he felt that he's evolved and he wanted to be a master or a light, not a master, basically it is light for someone who was seeking the light. Basically, is not gone to anyone, everyone. He is there and people are coming to him because people see that light in him. They feel there is a solution there. Similarly, Yashodhara, when she was in her circle, she was a part of that light. She was not out of that light. That's it. That's what I felt. But then as she grows in her own way, she is identified by her own principles. She's not ready to follow Buddha because she feels there is always another path. There was another path which she has actually lived with. And that is path of relationship, which probably Buddha's Eightfold doesn't have. And that's the ninth teaching what she gave, is a path of relationship. And why that is more important, in today's era, we are living in relationship. As Patriji sir says, we need not have to be Buddha anywhere out. See, even when Buddha achieved, he had to come to Sangha. He didn't stay there. He brought it to Sangha only. Ultimately, to live in Sangha is the ultimate truth. That's the truth of our life, right? And this is why when there's one more book called as Siddhartha, why this book was more in this book club was, when I read through most of Buddha's reading, I picked this book called as Siddhartha, and I thought it is all about Gautam Buddha. That's how. And it was very small book. I was astonished, like Buddha's book in such a small pages. And yet I was like, I wanted to read more and more about Buddha. And that's where I took that and I read through. But to my astonishment, the book is totally different. It is not at all about Buddha's teaching. It is all about a man, how he denies Buddha's teaching. It is a similar line, but yet he becomes Buddha by himself. So what after that I had in my own understanding is, I would like to read that what I, put it down after reading that book is, finding Buddha means following forests, being in forests. It meant following your path to decode your journey through your own skills. Finding Buddha meant following your trails for your journey. It also meant overcoming fears, conquering them with head-on collision. It also meant moving in uncomfortable situations. It meant raising your bar, your limits set by yourself. It meant following your love for, following your heart, following your bliss. Buddha represents your inner self guiding, which I lost in the forest of my emotional turmoil. I had to overcome, fight all those dark nights in forest, and also learn to enjoy this journey of following trails in forest. Buddha also meant to follow the internal bliss, self-trust. Yeah, I learned this from Buddha, who frequently peeped in my meditational experience. Moving meant moving through flow of life. So yeah, masters, this is what I felt when I read that book, and following which I read this was Buddha's wife. But in today's era, definitely Yashodhara has an lot of teachings to follow in our life, basically follow in our life. And yeah, Buddha never meant anything else but having yourself within you, Buddha, I felt. Thank you, masters. And special thanks to this entire platform who are sharing their greater wisdom to understand myself. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmiji. Thank you so much for sharing your experience going through this book and giving your inputs. It's really helpful thoughts.
I one more had a question. Why this circle? Why the circle is, why not any other? Yeah. I just wanted to know from others, masters, why the circle? Why not any other shape?
Ma'am, I want to add few lines to today's session.
Yes, ma'am, please go
One point which I would like to share is that women are more emotional, and they prefer living with their family members and near and dear ones as compared to men. And though Buddha didn't have another solution for getting enlightened, he could have waited. He was a king. He was a knower. Like, it wasn't that he was immature or he didn't know what life is about, how to live life. He could have balanced his life on with both the paths, like to get known to all the weird sufferings, how to manage, and to live with his family. He could have talked with Yashodhara. Yashodhara could have helped him to select another path by living with his family. She could have helped him. They both would have worked on this to know and give solution about the sufferings, how we can come out of, get rid of our sufferings and all that. So I too feel that whatever path Siddhartha had chosen, I don't completely agree with Siddharth's choosing the path of leaving his kingdom and family. There could have been a better option for him if he would have talked with Yashodhara and his father and Prajapati also. And this could be the reason why Yashodhara was irritated and frustrated, because after living so many years of very good relation, if a person suddenly leaves without letting us know, it definitely hurts and creates a feeling of hatred somewhere within, deep within us. So these were the 2 points, ma'am, which I wanted to share. That female, it's a bit harder as compared to men, for women to stay alone without husband or without near dear ones, like husband and son. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Jagti ma'am. Thank you for contemplating on this one very well. But one thing coming into my mind is he's trying to create a scenario for people who for a divorced people, a woman who were, those days like men were gone. So what is her situation? Nobody knows the solution, right? So he wanted to give a solution for that lady. So maybe he thought like, yes, I want to, her wife has it's better shape, better position. She's in the palace. She has everything except husband, just a person. But some people doesn't have husband, no kids, or even if they have kids, no money. Still, they have to go through these situations, right? So he had created a solution for those situations also. He's not like, I know he's enlightened, he knows everything what is, but after he heard all these scenarios in the, in the village, what's going on. That's why he wanted to create a solution for everyone. So if he would have stayed back, maybe, he would have not, the situations would have different, and the people, who are right in a bad situation, they might have not had the teachings or the solution. So now we have a teaching through Yashodhara. So he took her as a specimen, and through her, he had given all the teachings to us. So that's what I take from this story, ma'am. Yeah, please. Is it Chandra, sir?
I'm there. I've been listening.
Oh, please share, sir. Share
See,
your thoughts.
I mean, end of the day, if this entire effort that has been put in, for whatever reason, is increase the wisdom of people. Here, there are two scenarios that we have seen. One which says that you relinquish everything and get enlightened. That is the path chosen. And on the other side, even if you are bound by various circumstances, you are bound by various responsibilities, the path to enlightenment is still available. It is not that you have to run away and then overcome. Now, in terms of the level of consciousness of the individual, they will choose the path that is convenient. So from that perspective, if I really look at the depth of who was more evolved in this whole theme, I would probably side with Yashodhara, not with Buddha, because that was the only thing he did. Whereas, and he did not push anyone to experience, right? All the challenges of life, he never pushed. He said, relinquish everything, think about Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Sangam Sharanam Gacchami, and Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami. Whereas, when it came to Yashodhara, she said, you don't have to run away. Be where you are. You have the power within you to encounter a challenge. That's the way I understood this book. And that's the key message for all of us. Running away is not a solution, but learning to, taking the lessons out of a situation is the strength for a spiritual evolution of a person. So, if we look at the two situations and then try to put ourselves in the center of it, which one are we going to choose? And how are we going to manage that kind of a scenario is the question we should ask ourselves and not ask others. The reason I am saying we should ask that question of ourselves is because we have the answer, not others. So that's the point I would want to help people take away as the key message out of the entire session so far.
Yes, sir. Great.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Seek help to find out, to identify, to increase your wisdom. But implementation can only be done by you. Evaluation can only be done by you, not by a third party. That's the message I would, if I were you, I would take that message. Thanks, Swarna. And beautifully delivered. The entire discussion was way above the dry runs that we had. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
that shows your dedication.
Sir, I wanted to tell, the great pillar behind this session is Chandra sir. He entered into our sessions and, he created a structure and he answered for all the questions. Otherwise, we were like everywhere. This book is really, really complex subject to understand. And, it's our daily life that we go through. But yeah, sir, encouragement, sir, support really helped. immensely. That's why we were able to go very smoothly in a simple way. But it's a lot of takeaways. Like what? Yeah, thank you.
And one last point, if I may. This book, every scenario, every chapter can those aspiring counselors use it as an opportunity, as a case study, and think how you are going to resolve a PG who comes to you with that suffering. It may manifest as a disease. What could that be? If you use it that way, I'm telling you, you will enjoy. On one side, you will enjoy the concepts of spiritual tablets. On the other side, you will increase your understanding of this book or the key messages hidden within this book.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. So take, take both teachings. That's what she does moving forward tomorrow with us. So take these teachings and take Shudra's journey and her strength and her wisdom and apply to your life, right? So we can take both the paths and create our own path. You don't need to stick with Buddha or you don't need to stick with Yashodhara. You can create your own too. So that's what Yashodhara gave the message at the end. So yes, Master. Final conclusion is here. We don't need to go anywhere. That's why we are here. We're not even physically seeing, but on through over the journey. So, thank you, Master. Great discussion. Thank you for everyone's contribution. Yes, Ashok sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Varna.
Share your experience, sir. Your feedback.
Yeah, I'm good, and it's beautiful. And as I told you all the time, that you guys put a lot of effort with the Chandra Murali sir and the team, and you guys did an awesome job. And you guys are bringing in beautiful wisdom sessions that actually gives a lot of things. Yeah, and many people has to come forward and do this kind of stuff going forward, because at one day. Yeah, I'm not a book reader and I'm not a good narrator, but I will try my best at one day, because I wanted to be in the bandwagon too. So I'm jealous about you all.
We can't do whatever you're doing, sir. You can easily do what we are doing. So
thank you.
So, but yeah, you're
the backbone.
Yeah,
your support is behind the curtain for us.
We are all at the same stage, and we are all helping each other, and being as a group and being as a team, and helping each other. And that's the compassion circle. When we chose this book, that's what we did from the last 1.5 years. Without knowing, we are holding each one's hand. So whether we are knowingly or unknowingly, that's what we did. The whole team together, and we did it. So that's the beauty, and that's the reason why this book came onto the surface. And Lakshmi Madam knows that how this book has come onto this.
Yes, sir. I also wanted to offer my gratitude first for that. At least as far as I know, Lakshmi ma'am was telling me about this book, and she insisted we do this book. So thank you, Lakshmi ma'am. And then, like Swarna ma'am said, Chandra sir guided us so beautifully through dry runs, and we were everywhere, like Swarna ma'am said, and he gave us this direction and structure to this whole thing. So thank you, Chandra sir. And of course, Ashok sir, your backing.
This is just a beginning, and then many more things is going to come, and many things are going to be done in this in these sessions going forward. So let's hope for the best. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, Lakshmi ma'am asked the question, why circle? And I think Lakshmi ma'am, beautiful thought-provoking question. Yes, as far as I know, circle has no beginning, no end. So everybody is equal in that. It represents wholeness, infinity. So I think it is a beautiful concept. When we sit in a circle, we are all facing each other. We are all in, that oneness and wholeness, equality. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think so we can take it as a
Bring a
homework
little
for
bit
tomorrow's
of
session.
quantum physics into it. A circle, waves
Chandra
actually
sir.
move in circles.
Chandra sir, I want to hold your words till tomorrow, sir. You are the ultimatum. I want
But
everyone to do
tomorrow
the
I'm
homework.
not there, Lakshmi.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I'm on my way to
Okay.
Shirdi tonight.
Because I
So-
want the entire group to, really do this homework, because this is only takeaway. If I have to say what is Yashodhara, it's circle. So I wanted everyone to find an answer for it in their own way.
Okay, then we will do it next
all
week.
the
I
participants.
will be there
all the
next week,
participants.
but tomorrow I'm not.
Okay.
But yes, think from, I'm giving you one window, maybe a clue.
Yeah.
And the clue is, what is the relationship of a circle and quantum physics? So think the answer is somewhere there.
Masters, I really request all to do this little bit of homework. Yeah, I want everyone to speak about a circle tomorrow. I wish. I think so.
Otherwise, we will put you in the center of the circle.
Yeah. Yeah, you can stop the recording, sir. No problem.
Thank
And,
you, Lakshmi ma'am, for the beautiful